Paul Everitt, welcome to the channel. I'm so excited to be here doing this video with you to talk about open source AI. I know you have thoughts. I have thoughts. Let's share our thoughts.
I think it's warm outside and the sun is shining and I'm in here with you.
I know. Look, that's a testament, I think, honestly.
That's the gravitational pull that you have, Michael.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, we both have been doing a lot of stuff in agentic AI, AI plus coding. Very, very different than AI in chatbot land, which is also interesting, but not the same thing, not even close. And I know we've both been having debates with folks in the community and otherwise, and we've come around to this topic of, will AI kill open source? I posted something about this very recently. Just posted a thing about AI. One of the comments was, and it will kill open source. I'm like, I'm not so sure. We're going to see. So let's dive into that idea. I'll let you take the first riff on this here.
Thanks. I'm going to replay a conversation that I had with someone last week, an insider, basically, an ML engineer, developer of agents. And this came up because I just talked with Carol and Georgie about this at PyTV last week. And his position was, if the agent can conjure up everything it needs, then there's no dependencies. There's no dependencies. There's no packages. No packages, no open source. Paul was ready for this. Paul had his nice little analogy. It's like a soccer field. And you want to conjure up your application. Well, Next.js or Flask or whatever is going to get you 95 yards or meters down the field. And you talking with Claude Code just needs to get that last 5 meters that is the unique thing that you're doing. And you won't be stuck owning that 95 meters of future bugs and missing expectations that were conjured up, because software is a liability, not an asset. And I sat back with my smug little look, and he found a hole in the argument. He was also prepared. If Claude Code sucks Next.js or Flask into your application, just for the little 5% that you need, it's sucking in the 95% that you never asked for, attack surface, security problems, maintenance, whatever. And maybe you're better off being the owner of a small thing rather than the renter of a large thing. And I looked at him with the look of,
you sneaky sucker.
Yes. Yes.
It's a super interesting angle.
I'm still not convinced. I still think packages are the best building block for success so that you can get in, do something quickly, and know it's built on something ongoing. Over to you.
It's a fair point. You don't want to bring all these things in that you don't have to. Next.js is a good point, a good example, because they just had a CVE 9 point something run, hair on fire level. I had some self-hosted app. I'm like, oh my gosh, I got to go. I hope they update it so I can put my, my
Yes.
sort of useless little self-hosted thing doesn't get messed with, right? So there's reasons to avoid things. But here is a counter argument with millions and millions of data points. Tailwind. Tailwind, the usage of Tailwind has gone up 6-fold in the last year and a half. 6 times, 600%. Now, the sad part of this, and this is, we live in a gray world. We don't live in black and white. The revenue has gone down something like 5 times, right? Or, significantly down. I don't remember the numbers exactly. And so here we have AI choosing a UI framework. How many utility classes did it use? In whatever that it pulled that in for, I would bet.
Could have written the CSS.
It could have written this. It said, I think Tailwind's good. We're going to rebuild Tailwind, and we only need 47 of these. And here your CSS is now 100 or 1K instead of 100K or whatever the heck the difference is. I think micro open source is in trouble. And by that, I think it should be in trouble. I actually find it really distasteful that my web app to run Talk Python training has 248 dependencies. It doesn't need 248 dependencies, yet it has them.
This is not the web future you were promised, Michael.
At least it's not shipping over the front end. It's just on the server. But the thing is, I want to use Flask and I want to use Beanie. I want to use whatever, right? And it says, okay, well, great. That depends on this. And then that depends on, and I'm sure many places where it's like, I know it uses this library, but it uses 2 functions out of that library.
Yeah.
AI should just write those 2 functions for us. And I mean, the most extreme example has to be LeftPad. And look, not only is LeftPad a ridiculous thing to have as a separate package, look at all the consequences when that was like subverted by the maintainer as a form of protest. It took out so much stuff because one function that is trivial. I mean, how's that sit with you?
At a minimum, you're saying there's a lot going on here, and anybody who says they have their answer is selling something.
Yes, I'm saying it's also complicated. I think.
Yeah. There's a lot of nuance. There's a lot of grifting going on.
There's a lot of people trying to sell the hype.
Yes.
Yet there is hype. There is amazing tooling. Like humanity has never seen there is amazing tooling. Around that is a tornado of debris of junk that's crashing into stuff, right? How's that for a visual?
Creative destruction is still destruction.
It's true. It's true. So my point is micro open source. Like, will we have a thing that works with files in a way that is just like, okay, so I would like a simpler way, a cross-platform way to copy one file to another. It's like, no, we're just going to use, something that gets built in. And that's probably fine. But if you say, I would like a web app, it's like, you know what? Which flavor do you like? Do you like Django? You like Pyramid? You like Flask? Whatever. Like Django. Okay. Give me an hour. I'm going to rebuild Django. And then we can use Jingao or whatever you're going to call it, right? Some variation. I just do not see, even if it could, and it could, I do not see a reason an AI would say, let me rebuild this thing from scratch instead of just UV pip install next, right? Its goal is to solve the solution well and solve it quickly. I think Tailwind is a concrete example of that. But I think, hey, I need to save some files and I want to query them. Awesome. I'm going to rebuild Postgres for you. No, it's just, here's the command to run the Docker for Postgres. And at the bigger scale, I think it's safe. I don't know what that means in terms of the overall community, but that's what I meant by micro versus not micro.
And I thought that was a great blog post that you did and a great conversation to have for the rest of the year. Please keep up with it because none of us know what we're talking about. We're all learning. We're all learning where this is going. One of the points that is foremost on my mind is how y'all going to feel about writing your own Next.js when the prices go up by a factor of 5. Because at some point they got to start making money.
That's a really interesting point, and I 100% agree with you. But I just had this discussion about, this is so subsidized that when it's not subsidized, it's almost not even worth paying attention to. It's going to be so expensive that only huge companies have it. You won't have it, so you're just going to somehow harm yourself by paying attention to these tools.
No,
I don't think so.
You'll be running it locally because the M5 Max and M5 Pro are going to change people's expectations about what they can accomplish locally if you have a starting point that gets you 95 meters down the field.
That's a very good point.
So
it's easier to click together Lego blocks than it is to build.
This really is kind of the end state that I want to get to is we in Python have more power than we think we do. We can take back some of this power and we can take care of these people by not shunning them, but instead giving them something that is a better value possibly than what they're getting right now. At a minimum, we could just take care of ourselves. That would be a great outcome instead
100%.
of dissolving into the galaxy brain.
I don't think we have to. I definitely don't think we have to. totally agree with the local models and the new chips. Also, the new NVIDIA mega computer, like the 2-ton giant rack thing that just came out, is 10x less expensive for inference than the one that came out 2 years ago. So let's say we have to go up 5 times in price because that's what it's not subsidized as. Well, it just came down 10 times in price. So hey, guess what? It's $100 instead of $200 a month. I mean, it's not as extreme. This bubble, I think, is not as extreme as people imagine. There's financial and there's technical. So yeah, I think the other thing to look at is, what do you ask for? I mean, Paul, if you're going to sit down and like say, I would like, let's suppose you want a SaaS that's like Expedia, but Paulpedia. And you're going to say, would you start by saying, I want a clone of Expedia? Or would you say, I would like you to build me an app that's based on Expedia. I wanted to use this framework for this. I want to use this design. I want to use this database. Do you just ask with one sentence, or are you doing spec-driven development, spec-style development? And how that's part of the control we have as well. What do we ask for? It'll do what you ask for.
Yes, well said. And I think Simon Willison is trying to get us all on board with vibe engineering instead of vibe coding, bringing back some of those engineering skills without throwing out completely AI agentic development. And spec-driven development, one of the key things that I try to pitch is work in small little chunks. Changes that are small enough for you to look at and understand before proceeding. The multi-agent, like I got 6 of them running overnight and I'm barely associated with it future. I don't think it's going to be the 95% case for the Python community at the end of this year. I think the Python community wants to have their hands on the wheel. Even full self-driving cars still have a steering wheel, right?
Some of them, most of them. I think that's super interesting. And I 100% agree with you about just send it. I'm just going to say, agents, devour this. I'll see you in the morning. I'm not a fan. I know there's power there, but I think there's already so much power in, if you kind of have one eye looking at it while, doing other stuff or whatever. I love to think in design patterns, and it really helps you level up your thinking about code. So like, instead of saying, hey, we're going to do this thing where we have a module and there's going to be a variable, there's only going to be one value for it so we can share it. It's like, da-da-da. Or we have a singleton. That instantly talks trade-offs, it talks implementation, and you're on to the next thing. I really think this is a little bit in a similar way. Instead of saying, I would like a web page that has 2 forms, one says email, one says password, and when it submits, just like, this app needs a login page. Now I have a login page. Okay, I have a login page. What else can I build? You know what I mean? Like, you can think in these bigger blocks, but you still get to control what the blocks look like if you want. And I think that that's the engineering side a little bit. Should we have the block? How is it built? And all these sorts of things.
I love that you say that. It reminds me of Harry Percival's book on service-oriented architectures, and Hennick, who pitches that with his packages services, SVSCS. And this is part of the anecdotes that I say. I've rebuilt my little universe on top of services. Why? Because it's engineering sound, but it's also Hennick. You know Hennick. I know Hennick. Awesome. We like Hennick. We trust
a lot of his judgment. Yes, absolutely.
But also it's like, he's my guy, man. And there's this social aspect to gift giving. And Maggie Appleton wrote about this, that the gift takes on the nature of the giver in some ways. And you keep this personal connection back to the giver because of receiving the gift. And I would hate for that to get erased from our little gift economy. The first time I went to publish on PyPI a package that I worked with Claude on, it was a rewrite of something I wrote by hand. So, haters, chill out. I did write it previously. And I had that twine command, and I was about to press enter, and I had this crisis of confidence. did I really write this? Am I really the author? Can I in good faith put my name on this? Do you have an opinion about that?
I absolutely have an opinion. Was it good code? Did you trust it? Did it do what it promised?
Dude, when I do spec, there are tests. I read the tests, TY, rough. I use service-oriented architectures that have little small. I use protocols. I'm the one person in the world of Python using protocols.
You and me both. I love them.
So, does that change the answer?
It doesn't. It doesn't change it, but I'm trying to emphasize the heart of it. Did you ship something to the world that you think is well built, serves a purpose, is genuine? If you did, does it matter if I hit tab a bunch of times or if I literally typed every character? Did I create software, me plus my tools, with professional assessment that shipped real modern code packages? If yes, then I think it's fine. What is our job as software developers? Is it literally to write the code? I mean, I'm good at an if statement, and I know you rock a for loop, so that's fine. We can do it. But is that the best use of our time? I mean, it's easy to get lost in the craft that we got really good at, whereas we're not employed to do the craft. We're employed to ship features, to ship software at a high quality. And if there's a path that does that significantly differently but faster, like I think agentic coding checks the quality box if you apply agentic engineering.
Yeah.
And yet it satisfies your actual job really much better of shipping features for your company, a company you've worked for, your product, whatever.
And you come from the C# world, who probably thinks Python is barely software anyway.
Exactly. It's weak. I do come from the C# world, but I still love the Python world. It's so good. Yeah. I like them both.
No, I like your answer, and I like what you've been writing on this topic. I think the last week you and I have seen on Mastodon, maybe elsewhere, some vigilante groups out there shaming people who publish packages that had any assistance from an agent on it.
I blocked these people. I don't know about this.
Yeah. Yeah. And so that's a thing.
It is a thing. There is a very strong reaction to AI at the 2 standard deviations out. And
what I'm hoping is that
change.
There's some future where you go to those people and say, why are you like that? Why are you feeling that way? And they say A, B, C, D. And imagine the world of Python produce something where A came from us, B came from us, C mostly came from us, D, we're working on it. Would it change their opinion? Or is it really just you didn't put in the work? So I want to listen to people. I want to listen to both the Jeffs and the Glyphs of the world, to use polar opposites, and to get a feeling for what's the scorecard.
Well, we live in interesting times. Let's do a final post conversation / debate on, will AI kill open source? Let's the next 5 years. We can't go too far, right? We can't predict 100 years out, but short to medium term, what do you think?
I will redefine it and say, I only care about us. I can't stop them, but I can start us. And if we keep sharing gifts with each other, good enough for me. And I think that will continue, because you hear what this means to people in their actual lives. And that's more important than the bits.
I don't think it will. Like I said, I do think it'll kill micro open source, but I would encourage everyone out there doing these things to adopt some form of spec-driven development where they express the pieces of open source they want to use. I would like this built with this CSS framework because I love, know it, or respect it. I want this kind of database, this web framework, this language, whatever. In that sense, you're still choosing, using, and popularizing those things.
It's like you're the architect handing something to the contractor.
Yeah, exactly. So Don't give that piece away. Hang on.
Well said.
All right. Paul, thanks for the debate. Awesome to have you here.
Yes, indeed. Thanks.